How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was November 23rd, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match 1, it was the Dark Order, which are John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus Shawn Dean and Carly Bravo. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Dark Order went over because Alex Reynolds pinned Carly Bravo with a roll-up. That was match 1, by the way. Match 2, it was Riho versus Karma Dean. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Riho went over with the diving foot stomp. That was match 2, by the way. Match 3, it was Daniel Garcia and 2.0, which are Matt Lee and Jeff Parker, versus Adrian Soriano, Gabriel Hodder, and Matthew Oman. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Daniel Garcia and 2.0 went over because Daniel Garcia made Adrian Serrano tap out to the sharpshooter. Well, after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed Daniel Garcia and 2.0, and Tony Schiavone brought up about Daniel Garcia and 2.0 making a name for themselves since they've been in AEW and facing off against the biggest stars in AEW and everything. And then Daniel Garcia talked about how they weren't new anymore to AEW, that they were true to AEW and everything. And Matt Lee talked about how they faced big names like Jon Moxley, big names like CM Punk, Jon Moxley, Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, and others. And Jeff Parker talked about how they were going to take out everyone in AEW and everything as well. That was cool. Match 4, it was match 4, that was match 3, by the way. Match 4, it was Kiera Hogan versus Notorious Mimi. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Kiera Hogan went over with a roundhouse kick. Match 5, it was Bear Country, which are Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder, versus Kane Carter and Chad Lennox. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Bear Country went over because Bear Bronson pinned Kane Carter and Chad Lennox with the assisted splash from Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson. That was match 5. That was match 5, by the way. Match 6, it was Anthony Green versus Jameson Ryan. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Anthony Green went over with the crucifix driver. But after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed Anthony Green, and Tony Schiavone brought up how Anthony Green has been successful since he's arrived in AEW, and talked about how Tony Khan, the president and owner of AEW, has been really impressed with Anthony Green's performance and everything. And Tony Schiavone brought up that even though he hates Adam Cole, it was going to be a hell of a match because Tony Khan booked Adam Cole versus Anthony Green next week and everything. And Anthony Green was talking about how he loved AEW and how he was going to give it all. He was going to give it all he's got, and how he was going to put up a fight against Adam Cole and everything as well. That was cool. And that was match 6, by the way. Match 7, it was Joey Janella versus Clayton. That was a great match, but the ending to it, wait. Match 7, it was Joey Janella versus Clayton. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Joey Janella. Match 7, it was Joey Janella versus Clayton. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Joey Janella went over with the diving elbow drop. That was match 7, by the way. Match 8, it was Emi Sakura versus... Match 8, it was Emi Sakura versus Valentina Rossi. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Emi Sakura went over with the Queen's Gambit. That was match 8, by the way. Match 9, it was Matt Hardy versus... Match 9, it was Matt Hardy versus Brick Aldridge. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Matt Hardy went over with the Twist of Fate. Now, before the match, Jora Joel got Matt Hardy a microphone, and Matt Hardy asked Brick Aldridge, "What's your name?" Brick Aldridge said, "Brick Aldridge." Matt Hardy said, "What's my name?" Brick Aldridge said, "Matt Hardy." And Matt Hardy said, "You may know my name, but you don't know who I am. I am Big Money Matt Hardy. And tonight, after I kick your ass in this ring, you're going to say my name with reverence and everything." That was cool. Okay, that was match 9, by the way. Match 10, it was match 10, it was the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Match 10, it was the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, versus the Nightmare Family, which are Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Acclaimed went over cause Max Caster pinned Brock Anderson with a shot in the stomach with a chain. Now, before the match, after the Nightmare Family, which are Lee Johnson... Now before the match, the Nightmare Family, which are Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson, along with Arn Anderson, came out to the ring, making their entrance, and then the Acclaimed, which are Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, came out to make their entrance. Well, Max Caster done a rap on Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson, and Anthony Bowens said his signature line, "Universal Studios, the Acclaimed have arrived," and everything. That was cool. That was match 10, by the way. Match 11, it was Wardlow versus Rolando Perez. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Wardlow went over with the Casualty of War. Now, after the match, Wardlow attacked Rolando. Yeah. But after the match, Wardlow attacked Rolando Perez with not one F10, but 2 F10s. That was cool. That was match 11, by the way. And match 12, which was the main event, it was, match 11, it was Wardlow versus Rolando Perez. That was a squash match, but the ending to it, Wardlow went over with the casualty of war, but after the match, Wardlow attacked Rolando Perez with not one F10 but two F10s. That was cool. And that was match 11, by the way. And match 12, which was the main event, it was Lee Moriarty versus Nick Camarado. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Lee Moriarty went over with a roll-up. Well, after the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed Lee Moriarty, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much congratulating Lee Moriarty on his win and asking him how he felt about getting his first singles win and everything. And Lee Moriarty talked about how ever since he's arrived to AEW, he's mixed up with several different styles of wrestling, like catch wrestling, catch wrestling, lucha libre, strong style wrestling, everything. And Lee Moriarty also talked about how the more time he has in AEW, the more he's going to mix it up with more of the greats from all the different styles of professional wrestling and everything. That was cool. Now, besides the matches, Lexi Nair interviewed Bear Country, which are But besides the matches, Lexi Nair interviewed Bear Country, which are Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder. Well, Lexi Nair talked about how Bear Country got a win on AEW Dark in quick fashion and everything, and Lexi Nair asked Bear Country what was next for him and everything, and Bear Boulder talked about how him and Bear Bronson were unstoppable and how they've taken on great tag teams, and talked about how they were always hungry and how they were going to go through the competition and everything, and that was Bear Boulder that was saying that, by the way. And Bear Bronson was talking about how Bear Country are going to stomp through the competition and steamroll through the competition, and talked about how Bear Country were hungry and how they were going to win the AEW tag team titles and everything as well. That was cool. Now, besides all that, Taz and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And wait a minute. But besides the matches and the promos and everything, Taz and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And the referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Andre DeSanta. Okay. Rick Knox refereed the match between the Dark Order versus Sean Dean and Carly Bravo. Paul Turner refereed the match between Riho versus Karma Dean. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Daniel Garcia and 2.0 versus Adrian Serrano, Gabriel Hodder, and Matthew Oman. That was Bryce Remsburg, by the way. Paul Turner refereed the match between Kiera Hogan versus Notorious Mimi. That was Paul Turner, by the way. Rick Knox refereed the match between Bear Country versus... Wait a minute. Rick Knox refereed the match between Bear Country versus Kane Carter and Chad Lennox. Andre DeSanta refereed the match between Anthony Green versus Jameson Ryan. Rick Knox refereed the match between Joey Janella versus Zach Clayton. That was Rick Knox, by the way. Paul Turner refereed the match between Emi Sakura versus Valentina Rossi. Rick Knox refereed the match between... Rick Knox refereed the match between Matt Hardy versus Brick Aldridge. That was Rick Knox, by the way. Rick Knox refereed the match between Matt Hardy versus Brick Aldridge. Paul Turner refereed the match between The Acclaimed versus The Nightmare Family. That was Paul Turner, by the way. Andre DeSanta refereed the match between Wardlow versus Rolando Perez. That was Andre DeSanta, by the way. And Rick Knox refereed the match between Lee Moriarty. And Rick Knox refereed the match between Lee Moriarty versus Nick Camarado. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's Thanksgiving edition episode of... Now, the match card for All Elite Wrestling's... Now, the match card for tonight's episode of All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's Thanksgiving edition, it's going to be Cody Rhodes and the Death Triangle, which are Pac, Rey Fenix, and Penta El Cerro Miedo, versus Andrade El Idolo, Malachi Black, and FTR, which are Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, in an 8-man tag team match. CM Punk versus QT Marshall, Bryan Danielson versus Colt Cabana, and Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter. Those are the matches that have been announced so far. So the match card for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's Thanksgiving edition looks like it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see it. Looking forward to it. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark from last night, which was November 23rd, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.